absolutely amazing. It's always really touching to share stages with Unitarians. So I'm gonna start doing my thing, I guess. Again, my name is Dylan. I guess again. And first one, I wrote it for the seminar. I haven't had time to memorize it. I always like to memorize stuff, but I didn't have time to memorize it. So what we're gonna do is everyone's gonna close their eyes, and everyone's gonna inhale real deeply, and everyone's gonna exhale real deeply, and then everyone's gonna inhale real deeply, and then everyone's going to exhale real deeply, and then you're going to keep your eyes closed, and all you're going to do is you're just going to feel. You are just going to feel the poem and feel the words. I dropped the screw in the tuna. I said, I dropped the screw in the tuna. I dropped the screw in the tuna. Now, I'll give you guys a second to think about that. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you of a reoccurring memory of mine where there's a passion rising real slow and scalding in the eyes of a Maasai boy who I met at the market, and I gave him my email and I told him to try me, that Maasai boy who tried to kiss me in the back room of a club in Arusha, and we were drinking konyagi. And the moon, it was hot, and it burned our skin through the skylight, and I felt Jesus that night. In the judgment that poured from my mouth in bright white-capped waves, and I swear that I drowned him, and I was saved under Kesha mixed under club beats, and I called him a fucking faggot. And I pushed his arm off my shoulder. It was all I could do to stop the smolder of hate for myself at the possibility that maybe I wanted his kiss wet and warm on my mouth. That maybe I wanted that jangle of jewelry, that black hole of skin to consume me completely. Because, you see, there's a myth that we carry deep in our American psyches that love is a capacity to be filled like a set of measuring cups or an urn, and to each of our vessels we mark certain metrics just to make sure we're earning good grades on the subject, like A+, B- in love and attraction. We make sure that nothing ever happens to throw off our narrative. But 6 months ago, I was living alone in a New York studio, and I was watching Kenan and Kel on Netflix. I don't know how many of you remember the show. But Kel had just dropped the screw in the tuna, and he was over on his knees against the judge, and he was yelling, I dropped the screw in the tuna. Kenan, I dropped the screw in the tuna. And I was checking my email, and his email stood out to me, and I read it. And it convulsed my stomach. Oh, it made my chest dry. His English wasn't good. Probably made worse by the blood in his eyes, and his apology was long-winded and vague. He was sorry for destroying his family and destroying his tribe's name. He laid out his method of suicide with the same strength that had held my small frame. To the outskirts of his village, naked as he came, with a gun down his throat and a slug of shame lodged back in his brain. I killed a man, you see, who simply wanted to share the glory of his spirit with me. I sat there drunk, scared of my own desire and my own homophobic reality, and to his kind and beautiful face, I denied his divinity. And years later, he died under the acacia trees. So I have one question ready, go. Who else has to be murdered before we have something to show to the angels and devils awake in the grove, where the bones of those who have died prematurely relive their catastrophe until love is showed to their memory, by those of us who have refused during their earthly life to accept them completely? And I mean this question because I believe it sincerely. Who else has to end up in the valley for us as a global community to say rest and peace and mean it? I'll give you a second to think on it. Thank you.